Hey everybody, Sam from Premier Racing, working on the Lancer, as you can see. Before I do this video, I want to say something. Someone got butthurt because I used improper terminology in my last video about the TPS and stuff like that. All right, so look, I'm not a Mitsubishi tech. I've never worked for a Mitsubishi dealership. I've never owned, a dozen Mitsubishi cars. I own a race shop. I build fast cars. That's my GTI there I'm building right now. That's the motor for it. I got the Lancer going. I got an old school Mercedes that I'm bagging for my dad that I bought for him for his birthday. I do a wide range of stuff. My specialty is making cars go fast and engine building. Okay, I don't know factory manuals like the back of my hand. Okay, especially not for Mitsubishi. So if I use a term, it's because I use that term because most people are more common with the terms that I use, like TPS, even though it's called a pedal actuator, whatever the hell you want to say. So I'm not a Mitsubishi specialist, okay? So I don't know the terms that the factory manuals use and stuff like that. So if I use a term that you're not happy with, I'm sorry, drive on. I don't know what you want me to tell you, all right? But anyways, I just want to say that so no one gets hurt and no one makes purchases off the words that I use. I'm showing you the parts that I'm doing so that way people out there can do these same mods, since a lot of people have questions about them. So I'm doing these mods so everybody else can see that these mods are what I'm doing and they hear the results from those mods. I'm not doing them so you go out and purchase stuff off my word, okay? So if I use a term and you go buy a part, please do research before you go buy that part to make sure that's the actual part you need, all right? What I will show you is what I'm switching out as I do it, okay? So I apologize if the terms that I use or the part names I use are not what the Mitsubishi manual says. I can't do anything for you on that one. Anyways, if you watched my last video about the clutch, you know I suspected that the flywheel was already a lightweight flywheel. Well, got the transmission out right there, and let me see if I can get you a good shot. If you can see, already a lightweight flywheel in here, all right? The clutch I don't see any brands on the clutch, so I'm assuming this might be the stock clutch because I don't see anything else to indicate differently. But the flywheel is definitely already a lightweight flywheel. But since I already have the transmission down, I'm not gonna leave that in there. I don't care if it already is. I bought the Clutchmaster's flywheel and the spec stage 2 clutch kit already. So since I've got the transmission down, I'm going to switch both of them out. So what I'm about to do now is pull off the pressure plate, pull off the flywheel, put the new stuff on there, new release bearing, and then we'll start putting it back together. But getting it out, as far as that part goes, I think the hardest part was getting this back mount out. So if you can see that here, this rear mount right here for the transmission, that was a pain in the butt. There's 3 bolts. There's one here, one at the bottom of it here, and on the back side of the bottom. There's also a bolt that goes through the mount up there this way through the transmission. Now that mount that is bolted through this bolt mounts on the back of the transmission right here, these with 3 bolts there, okay? So what I highly recommend, that was the easiest part for me. I'll show you what that piece looks like. So this is the piece right here, so that way you guys understand what you're getting into before you do it, okay? So that's the mount I was just talking about. So this piece here mounted like that, okay? So you see the hole for the bolt to go through. It goes through there, goes through the mount, and it sits just like this. On this side, you see the 3 holes right there for the bolts. These 3 holes line up on the back of the trans, just like that, okay? And right there, you can see the bolts go, boop, just like that, right there. All right, the threads are in the transmission, not in the bracket. Okay, so the bolt will go through the bracket into the transmission there. What I found to be the easiest way after trying the other ways was actually I pulled that bolt that goes through. I pulled that bolt that goes through this way, that goes through this hole. I pulled that bolt out. Once I pulled that bolt out, I jacked the transmission up a little bit just to get some tension off of it. I pulled the bolt through. Then I lowered it back down to let it settle. Once I did that, I went up top and I undid the mount on the driver's side of the vehicle. Okay, that mount was right here where you see these studs at. That mount bolts up to the frame inside the car. I undid that mount. Once I undid that mount, I then lowered the transmission again. Once I lowered the transmission again, I'm sorry, I lowered it to get it out from under there, and then I raised the transmission, and that allowed me to see the top bolt right there, the one up there. So then I took that bolt out, then I took the bottom one out here, and then I took that bolt out. And then that allowed me to free the transmission up completely. So that was the easiest way for me to do it, was to remove the mount bolts from the actual transmission itself instead of just removing it from the subframe. All right. So I started doing it the other ways, and it was just paying a button. I realized this was easier, so that's what I did. So that's where we're at right now. So I go ahead and switch this stuff out for you guys to see the results afterwards.